Hello, and welcome to episode 121 of Nintendo Therapy, a show about the latest Nintendo news and rumors, as well as a celebration of all of the things Nintendo. My name is Kevin, and joining me this week to talk about our playtimes is Harrison
Hello, welcome back, guys.
and Sean.
It's a little place, Mr. Luthor.
Sean, the listeners don't hear what we're talking about before the show.
That's
So
fine.
anyone
It
can put
gives
the pieces
mystery.
together.
It
That's
gives
good for them.
mystery.
Um, But it was a slow news week this week, and one thing I definitely wanted to tackle for a while now, outside of Nintendo news, is since the Switch, it's very soon, about a week or so away, 2 weeks away. What are we? Going to no longer be the current Nintendo system anymore. So what I wanted to do is at the end of the Switch's prominence, um, talk about what we did with our Switch, how we spent our time, how we spent these 8 years on our Switch. And I thought a great way to do that would be for us to all go over. If you go on your home screen, you can sort your games by playtime. And I thought it would be interesting to just see the different lists of our top 10 most played games. And boy, howdy, is it a different list. There's a few games that overlap between us, but not many, that which I was surprised by. So I don't know. I think the best way to do this is maybe we didn't even talk about this before we recorded, but maybe just like keep doing a round. Like we'll do number 10, then number 9, then number 8, and if we double up on any, we'll whoever mentions the game first, that's where we'll talk about it. And then if somebody else has it on their list, we'll just mention it and move on. Sound good?
Works for me.
All right. So, number 10 on my list. Sorry. Number 10 on my list is Mario Odyssey, which surprised me. I'm kind of surprised it's not higher on the list because I've done 2 playthroughs of this game. And one of the playthroughs, I got all 880 moons. So I really thought that was going to be higher on my list before I sorted the games, especially because I don't know if any of you have done these 2 moons, but the beach volleyball and the jump rope. I feel like I spent like 3 hours on each one. So I thought that would boost the time a little bit, but I guess not.
Well, your 3 hours on those each is
Yeah,
counterbalanced by being able to get, like, 12 moons in 3
yeah,
hours otherwise, so
that's true.
no, I
Especially
never
those
got
triple
either of
moons.
those. Yeah, I never got either of those moons, so kudos because I don't have the patience.
The volleyball one, I believe, was the last moon I got, and it was just like you ever have a goal in a video game where you start to doubt yourself and you're like, "I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this." Like, I don't know if I have the skills. That volleyball one almost broke me, but I got it. Um, so yeah, Harrison, any thoughts on Mario Odyssey?
It was in my top 20, or it might have been in my top 15. Um,
Mhm.
it was close to my top 10, because it's a game that I have finished but not completed, and um, it should be in my top 10. I do think it's the most complete Mario game. Like, if you want the most bang for your buck, play that one.
Mhm.
Although it's not the first one I'd recommend for a Mario game, we've shared those ideas many times on here.
Mhm. Yeah, totally. So I guess we'll go counterclockwise from my view here. Harrison, what is your number 10?
Number 10 on my list is unique, so I'll kick it over to Sean right away. Number 10 on my list is Vampire Survivors. On Switch, it's about 90 hours, but combined with Steam Deck, I'm over 250 hours. And since I've restarted, like I will play it, then I'll stop playing, then I'll restart. um, I have even, like, cracked the surface on the DLC or anything. So, And they keep releasing new DLC, like, they just did the one with, the not Final Fantasy, but,
Saga.
Saga, thank you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think
Well, I win and I lose because I have more time than you. So it's number one. I get 285 hours. I blame you, Harrison. I never would have tried this game, and I hands down think it's the stupidest game ever made. And everyone I recommend it to just gets completely sucked in. So I will forever play Vampire Survivors, and you're to blame. So thanks.
yeah, it's, I've gotten to the point so I don't even know if I'll ever finish it because I've gotten to the point where lately when I've played it, it's just to kick back for 30 minutes or, like, 45 minutes and just do one run, and then usually I do put it down now because lately I've just been invested in like other games or projects or whatever, but it is still a great game to just go back to if you don't know what to play and you just want something to play right now. But I'm not even including the other survivor like games. Like I'm playing a game called Halls of Torment right now, which is more like inspired by the original Diablo, and
Okay.
it's great. It's just a fantastic game. So it's exploded the subgenre and what we've talked about on here a lot. So Sean, what is your number 10?
So my number 10 was actually Super Mario RPG, which was the first time
Nice.
I finally get to complete it. Because I remember when we were kids, I borrowed it from Kevin, and I get stuck on Bower. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, the bow and arrow
The
guy.
forest boss. So I gave up on it, and then many,
Well,
many years later, when the
in the Super Nintendo
impossible
version, that is
happened.
like a difficulty spike right there, but not so much in the remake.
Yeah, so when the remake happened and we didn't think it would, I was like, you know what? So I put a decent amount of time in there and finally crossed that off the list. So happy with that.
Nice. Surprisingly not on my list, but, I feel like if we do this list for the Switch too, but by the time I've had some years to go back to it, it might end up on that one. Okay, so going back around, number 9 on my list, fittingly, is Final Fantasy 9. Lines up nicely. One thing I like about the remaster that they've made, if anyone out there for some reason hasn't played these remasters, is they give you all the tools you need to if you kind of just want to be a Final Fantasy tourist and not even worry about challenge in the game and just experience the game's story, you can
Yeah,
do things like turn off the random battles. You can set it so that you always deal max damage. Um, so you basically can like one shot almost every boss and really just like watch the game through for its story. Which I've done a few runs of this game on the Switch, and one of them, my most current one is that's what I'm doing. I'm like, I just wanna, like, live in this world a little bit. So I turned all the cheats on, and I'm kinda just going through laughing at what they kinda do to the difficulty.
nice. I do like that they pretty much did that with all the Final Fantasies they've brought over to the
Yep.
Switch.
Yeah, 8, I can't remember if 10 had anything like that, but definitely 7, 8, and 9 do.
We're getting more,
Yep.
and we're getting more Final Fantasy. 9 for me is Legends Arceus. I think Legends Arceus is the best Pokemon game on Switch. I don't know what analogy I should use because it's not a very high bar. Uh, like the 2D games on Switch were not good. The 3D games on Switch overall were not good, but I played all of them and I put hours into all of them. Like even Sword and Shield, which I hated, and some people loved, even that I finished. And still put in,
So, Arceus, cross the garden fence. That's the height, I guess, it needs to pass to be a good Pokemon game.
Arceus is by far the most hyped Pokemon game I've seen, like, in whatever era this is, but, like, just
Mhm.
I think in any generation, Arceus, it was announced over a year out, and for so many people, we thought it was going to be like the Breath of the Wild Pokemon game. It was going to be finally that experience that you wanted, and it was certainly turned out to just be a step forward, which is great. I put in about 120 hours. The only reason why I won't go back is because, in my opinion, the story is just so long, and I don't want to go through it again. It really just kind of put a damper on, um, it put a damper on kind of the rest of the game, I guess. But I had fun with
Mhm.
it. The shiny odds are great. Had fun shiny hunting during my time in it, but similar to other Pokemon games, once I put it down, I kind of felt like I was done with it. So we'll see how the uh ZA goes.
I felt the same way what you said about the story. I felt the same way about Mario and Luigi Brothership. I noticed when we did that when I set the games, it's number 11 on my list, and that's only one playthrough. It's that game's it's just too long. It's it's too long, and it should not be that high after only one playthrough. I'm just saying, but yeah, the story
Yeah.
overstays its welcome for sure.
No, that's fair. I feel like a lot of these games have gotta be probably multiple playthroughs or continuous plays for us, so, yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty high for one, although I have 1 or 2 that are like that. Number nine's Cowabunga Collection, which is just gonna be a forever game for me. My thing I'm trying to do now is beat all 13 games without save states and without using rewind, and I've been able to do that with 2 of them so far. So,
I don't know if you're gonna be able to do the original. That Technodrome's
it
pretty crazy.
it's possible, I just don't know if it's ever gonna happen because
It's
even
possible if you're one of those people that play games like this, that you see the videos of online, like,
yeah,
you're one of those, like, crazy, you're just dialed in. Uh,
if even the arcade games I lowered them to easy and put the highest amount of lives you can have for what would be 1 quarter.
mhm.
Eh, I don't think those are happening either without me actually using continues, but we'll see. It's all possible, but yeah,
Well,
I
that's
don't know.
also,
I
like
wasn't.
I won't get too ahead of myself, but there's a few games on my list like that where it's more than one game in one game. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
that helps that one, show up in your top 10 for sure.
I mean, it's in my opinion, it's the best retro collection you could get.
Mm,
But you're right there with me. We grew up on this stuff, so that's
yeah,
like
for sure.
totals. So,
Manhattan Project's underrated still.
oh, it is absolutely.
Okay, number 8 on my list is going back to the Pokemon world, Pokemon Violet, the game that got me back into Pokemon. I think the reason this ranks so hard is I completed the Pokédex, and so that meant there were sometimes hours of me searching for a specific Pokemon to catch, only to find out I was in the complete wrong place and have to move over to where I should have been, things like that. So,
Oh, that's great.
yeah. So that certainly helped it, but I enjoyed it, this is like I said, it got me back into Pokemon, so I'm gonna be right there with ZA. I definitely wanna check out Arceus, hopefully before I get ZA, and,
You get time.
really what's that?
You get time.
Yeah, I got time. Really, I kinda wanna go back and play most of the Pokemon games, have various ways to play the older ones. So, um, I did a run through of Pokemon Blue and Pokemon Yellow recently, so I think I'll be diving back into Gold soon, and going from there. Maybe I'll catch up. Who knows?
Violet was number 6 for me. That was the version that I played, Violet. Uh,
Did you do the DLC? I never did the DLC.
DLC came out too long after, and
Yeah,
I
I felt so. Yeah.
yeah, and every time
I
I
was
thought
already done with
about
the Pokédex.
yeah, every time I thought about jumping back in, it just was kind of a not a good feeling. Like I'll never do the story again. Um,
Mm.
which is the biggest problem, I guess. And yeah, and I just don't want to go back because it really is jarring if you haven't played it in a while, like how bad the game actually is. Um,
But
and
number 6 for you.
it's number 6 for me. Um, I said it in my entire life, it might be my biggest, like, self-loathing game of all time. Like, have you ever
Yeah.
been playing a game and you're like, "This game sucks, and I should be playing other games that are worth my time,"
But I
but
must complete this.
but there
Yes.
I
but there is a part of this game that is super fun, and I had a blast shiny hunting in that game. I had
I don't
a
think
freaking blast shiny hunting, but I'm
I
done.
don't think I ever thought while playing it, "This game sucks." What I would think is, like, you'd see, like, the pop-in and stuff like that, and my main thought would be like, "Oh, jeez, they couldn't have fixed that?" Like,
Yeah.
that was my constant thought, is like, you wanna be into it, and you're just like, "Ah, jeez, really?" Like,
Well,
One
I
of the
mean
highest selling games on the system. So
yeah.
one of the highest selling games of all time. I mean, I shouldn't be using the pop in because, you know, I would be like on a hill and I would just constantly be setting up the picnic just to like respawn new Pokemon so I can shiny hunt with them. That shouldn't be something that we are doing. We should just be like naturally going through the world and looking for Pokemon. So, you know, venting and venting so much on here about Pokemon, but and just all in all, the kind of experience that I imagine us having with Pokemon, with at this point, with the type of technology that we have, is so far away from what we actually have in a Pokemon game. Like,
I wouldn't hate if they went back to the DS art style for a game,
no,
like,
no, no,
kinda
no,
treat it like the 2D how, like, sometimes they'll make a 2D Mario, sometimes
Oh,
they'll make a
yeah,
3D
yeah.
Mario.
th-
Like, make, like, a handheld style Pokemon
no,
game, do
no,
that.
just do both. Do both. I don't
That's what I'm
care.
saying, do both,
Yeah,
like, sometimes you have a 2D,
like,
sometimes you have a 3D.
Yeah.
but don't get in this thing where it's like, well, we just can't do 3D, so we're not going to do it. No, spend the
Yeah,
money, spend your money, go hire whoever did Pokemon Snap or whoever did Legends Arceus, and have them do all of the have them do all of the good looking games. Like if their studio can't handle it, they have the money to give us that experience because yeah, I want, you know, ZA or whatever Pokemon game to
mhm,
be like, why can't I just be hanging out in that Pokemon world? And then I look over, I'm like, oh, Kevin's over there. You know, Kevin's online now. And I can go over to him and I'm like, hey, that Pokemon you wanted, I got it for you. Give it to you. Like,
thank you.
why can't it be a seamless? I said I wasn't gonna rant, but it's been 2 minutes
Yeah.
now.
So you want Mario Kart World, but Pokemon.
I I just want a better experience, but yeah, I mean, that would work. I mean, they have Pokemon MMO as a ROM hack, and
Yeah,
that is
and we know from the leaks that was an idea they toyed with at some point,
and
but
that
gave up
game
on, I
is
guess.
extremely more intuitive than any other Pokemon game. You know, it's sad that, like, every the best Pokemon experiences I've had aren't even Pokemon games. Pokemon Unbound
Mm,
is the best ROM hack and the best Pokemon game I've played in years, and Cobblemon from Minecraft is one of the most immersive Pokemon experiences I've had in years, and neither of those have anything to do with the actual IP. Um, I'm done. I said I wasn't gonna vent, and that's
alright.
been 3 minutes now, so
Alright, I
Number 8.
think you yeah, you're up for number 8, I think.
Dragon Quest Builders 2. Um, this game is in my top 5 Switch games, and I'm gonna consider myself a light Dragon Quest fan after this. I've never played a Dragon Quest game, but I kind of love this franchise now because it's just so goofy. Um, it came up for when we did best bang for your buck games. The story mode in itself, I would say if you are going as fast as you can, at least 40 hours. I'm gonna say upwards of
Okay.
50. The only bad part I would say is that there are certain things unlocked in the post game that are really cool, but it's gonna take you at least 80 or 90 hours to get there if you are just trying to go as fast as you possibly can. That's the only downside. That's a little bit uneven, and I don't think they're ever gonna make a 3rd game, which is just weird
No.
because, like, even if you take 0.01% of the Minecraft audience, that's still, like, a huge audience, you know? Um, so I recommend this game to anyone who likes JRPGs and perhaps, like, building. Um, one of my favorite games on Switch. So we are number oh, wait, no. It's you, Sean, number
John's
8.
8. Yep.
Uh, so this was just more time spent with it, but Final Fantasy One, the Pixel remaster. Just
Mm.
yeah, I'm glad I played it, but it was a grind, so it took a lot of time.
All right, I'm gonna give you a pro tip. Pro tip here on Nintendo Therapy. That's what you come to us for. If anyone out there
Exactly.
is willing to tackle the original Final Fantasy game, is something that will help you out, especially for the final boss. So you don't need to grind as much if you have Temper, that spell, which in the later games became Berserker. If you just cast Haste and Temper on your main character, and then you have a party member that keeps spamming the temper spell on your main character, it stacks. So I think most people don't realize that. So literally, if you do that, by the 4th turn, if you're a high enough level, you can finish the final boss. You'll be dealing so much damage. So just stack
Good to
that
know.
temper spell.
All right, cool.
All right, where are we? Number 7? 7. So number 7 for me is the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection. This was almost guaranteed to be on the list because it's 3 games in 1, and I 100% completed all 3, including the true completion of Mario Galaxy, which means that you have to 100% complete it with Mario, unlock Luigi, and then 100% complete it with Luigi to just get a different photograph at the end. So I basically 100% completed 4 games in 1 here,
There you go.
and
I
yeah, that's what got that on the list.
played
Uh,
them, not that much.
All-Stars, let's see, I finished Galaxy, played 64, and I don't think I've even touched Sunshine in that collection.
That was
Oh,
the first time I 100%ed Sunshine. I'd finished it before, but I never got them all.
I still don't know why I have it. Uh,
Well,
it
now that Sunshine is coming to NSO eventually, really the only reason to have it is to play Galaxy on a new system, and I'm
You
sure
have it,
we'll have that eventually
it
too.
was it was
you have it
COVID, and it
because
was
Nintendo made you think you needed to have it.
yeah, it was fun
That's
at the
why.
time. It was like, "Oh, Imma go out and buy it."
It was a moment.
Yeah,
You gotta get it, even though you could find it pretty readily.
still.
All right, Harrison, you're number 7?
Hades. Hades is my favorite indie game of all time, so won't spend too much time on this, but The reason why it's number 7 and not, like, number 1, because, it's my favorite, is because it's just too darn addictive, and I obsessed over it when I first played it, and I pretty much got to a point where, I was hitting the epilogue, I was 100%ing and then starting a new profile and just starting over again, and I told myself, "Just try to not think about it, try to put it aside." Um, Besides my favorite indie game, I think it's, for me, my most important game I've played recently because it just got me really into indie games again, and it really just reminded me that, games can just be fun. It can just be a fun game overall.
Have you played 20 Minutes Till Dawn? Isn't that a similar game?
No, is that a
I haven't played
roguelike?
Hades. Yeah, it's, I that's my end. I've played that one. I haven't played Hades, but I keep seeing people say they're similar. So,
Mhm.
I don't know. Just a
Yeah.
recommendation to check it out.
Yeah, I know, like Kevin, you're Earthworm Jim, right? Earthworm Jim is
Uh,
or no, Toe Jam and Earl.
Blue Jim and Earl, yeah.
Yeah.
I
So the
always get those 2 confused. Oh my god. Toe Jam and Earl. Yeah. So, yeah, you should try more roguelikes. Um,
Okay.
and and and
yeah.
Hades over. I mean, like, everything has been said about it already. It was Game of the Year nominee. Super Giant Games, the first one that's gotten a sequel from them. Just excellent everything, sound, story, goes much deeper than a usual roguelike. Um, yeah, as I said, just one of my favorite games of all time. So, Sean, yeah, what do you have?
We should just call this episode like Harrison's intervention. Every game has like a negative connotation with it. Number seven's the Dark Souls remaster, which I know is technically not a remaster, but it's the version of the game I like the most. And I was talking about it with one of my D&D buddies. He's like, "No, it's basically a Zelda game." Like, yeah, it pretty much is kind of a Zelda game, just a little more difficult, and you can deviate a little bit, but that's just another one that I kind of throw in every now and then and want to complete it with every class, but that probably won't happen. But it's part of why I'm excited for Elden Ring on Switch 2. So that'll fill that void because I really thought 2 and 3 were going to come to Switch, but I guess not.
All right, cool. Number 6 on my list is Final Fantasy VII, which it's an all-time favorite, and it came out early enough in the Switch's life that I have, like, multiple playthroughs on here. I really think I play it every couple of years, and this is another one that I think is gonna climb on my list because 'cause I've actually been in the mood to play it recently. It's just, it's Final Fantasy VII. What is there more to say? And it also, just like Final Fantasy IX, if you wanna just experience the story, you can do all uh, those same side steps and just skip everything and just experience the story.
So Switch was finally the time that I played through that game. So it was nice to be able to play it, but I don't have nearly as much time in it. So
Well, yeah, if you wanna beat the optional bosses in the game, it's great to have a system you can take on the go and just, like, grind your materia up levels while you're, doing errands and stuff, and then go home and
yeah,
actually sit down for a solid play session.
right.
I think I'll play it. Since the whatever version's coming out on Switch 2, whatever
Oh, don't even get
remaster
me started
it
on
is.
the remaster and if you're a new player, because like, I feel like the remasters require you to have knowledge. There's a meta narrative there that, like, I feel like it requires you to play the original game to get everything out of it. So, that's all I'll say about that.
You're here. Yeah.
The
Okay, yeah.
ranty episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6 for me is Pokemon Violet, so let's keep it going. Sean, what do you have for number 6?
Number 6 was surprising. It was Dying Light Platinum Edition with 65 hours. So this is
I
one
don't
I
know what this
tried on
is. Tell me what this is.
it's a first person zombie
Okay.
post-apocalyptic game. And I had tried it on PS4, but the first person parkour thing was like giving me motion sickness. So I'm like, nope, this isn't happening. And then they were like, oh, we're gonna port it to Switch. And I'm like, oh, thank God. So I actually got to play it. And here so that if you play Dying Light on Switch, it has all the DLC included. Do you guys find that if that's the case, you're more likely to play the DLC than if it's something that's released later?
You mean if it's included?
Yeah, if it's included with the release of the game.
Yeah, for me it depends on what DLC is, even if it is included. Like if it's like remember the Batman Arkham games would have those like combat challenges and stuff. I was
Yeah,
never
yeah,
really
yeah.
interested in those if they were free or not. But if it's like new in-game missions or something, so it
Okay.
really to me, whether I'm paying or not, depends on what it is.
So Dying Light, it's story expansion, but no, I had a
Okay,
good
so
time
yeah.
with it. It was nice to finally experience it in a much smaller way, so I wasn't gonna throw up. So
Mhm.
it goes on sale pretty frequently if you're interested in playing it at all.
All right.
Yeah, it's a good question. I've never really thought of it like that. So yeah, I have no opinion on if I do or not. But I am super happy that Cyberpunk comes with DLC when it
Right,
when it comes out.
right.
So I wish that was the norm. That was just the norm for everything.
Yeah,
That's my only opinion, I guess, on it. 5? Or
halfway there.
halfway there. Oh, we're halfway there.
All right, we're on to the next one. Okay, so if you're noticing a trend here, I am as well. Number 5 on my list is Final Fantasy 10/10-2 HD remaster, which is it's another multi-game deal here, but I'll say I don't know what my playtime on this is, but if it's 200 hours, let's say, I probably spent 120 hours on Final Fantasy X and 60 hours on 10-2. I did not
Okay.
really care for it that much. 10, I have a ton of hours in because I was trying to complete the whole sphere grid with all the characters and do the optional bosses, which this is one of the only Final Fantasy games where I haven't done all the optional bosses. So another game that's gonna maybe climb up in the hours on the list because someday I might be like, let me load that old save file and try to get these optional bosses done.
So I'm I was trying to keep track. So far we have 7, 8, 9, 10, and 10 2.
So far, not
Oh,
eight,
between
no.
everybody?
Yeah, between everyone.
No, 7. Yeah, 7, 9, 10, 10, 2, and the
And one.
remake of the original.
Okay. All right. Yeah, 'cause I don't have your list up, so I was trying to think of how many Final Fantasies we have. Number
A
I think
5.
lot.
eight is in my top 15 somewhere. It's right above Mario and Luigi Brothership somewhere in there.
It's too much. There's too many Final Fantasy games. It just stopped doing those. um,
Yeah.
Just stop.
yeah.
Number 5, what do you got?
Number 5, Breath of the Wild. Uh, I've done perfection on this or completion on it once. It was the first time I played it, including DLC, shrines, shrine quests, Koroks, memories, all of the photos, the armor, which is not included in the completion, but um, I've done everything in in the actual completion besides like dialogue options. And then I've done 120 shrines 4 times overall or with DLC it's more than that. But um that's what I always do for my playthroughs when I do it after that now. That's what I have fun doing and I care about. I'm surprised that it's only well, it's between 2 systems and multiple profiles, so it's easily over 300 hours I've spent on Breath of the Wild, and I think I could easily spend over 1,000. And there's plenty of people that have spent over 1,000, and, yeah. Yeah, that what else is there to say? I think Breath of the Wild is in my top 3 games all time, I would say.
Yeah, it's my number 4, and like you said,
Oh, perfect.
it's amazing. My top 4 is where you start to really get into the time sinks of all these games, like, the playtime just skyrockets, and,
Sure.
yeah, I don't think I ever stopped playing Breath of the Wild. I think I just took breaks in between sessions. It's like technically, I've played this for longer than what my Switch measures because my wife has it on her Switch, and she always had me do the shrines and the dungeons for her, the Divine Beast. She just wanted to run around Hyrule collecting things and fighting. She didn't wanna do any of the puzzling. Um, and so, yeah, I there are shrines in that game I've done, like, 6 times because she keeps starting new files. So, I've done a lot of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
Yeah, I maybe top 20, like, right on the tail end, but again, I beat it by accident and just kinda never went back. So it didn't enthrall me like so many, which I guess is unfortunate in some way, but
yeah. It did take me forever, like, it was my first game on Switch, and, in the beginning, I thought it was so extremely overwhelming that I didn't want to touch it, but, when it when it clicked that, you can do just what you want, then, it became, a really fun experience. So I'm really I'm just gonna kinda move on because we're talking about all these games today where I feel like I could just talk about kinda forever. So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was
So
5
so my
wait,
number 5 surprised me.
yep.
It's, Shredder's Revenge. I got 66 hours in it. Now, I prefer Cowabunga Collection, but Shredder's Revenge is a great game, and what keeps me going back, this is a rare instance where they add DLC and I do get it. So, n I think there's, like, 10 or 11 playable characters now, but there's a survival mode, etcetera, etcetera. The thing I'm trying to do now is re-achieve the, unlock of beating the game on hard, which I technically did in an online session with 6 people off and on, but I died during the Super Shredder fight. So, like, weeks later, they updated something and took the achievement away from me. So I kinda keep trying, and the game's really hard on hard, especially if you're trying to do it by yourself, but, yeah, that was one I was just surprised at the amount of playtime, but I enjoy it, it's fun. So
Okay,
Harrison,
so
number 4, right?
oh, yeah,
yeah, my
Did
number
you have
4 was
4?
Breath of the Wild, so yeah,
Breath
it's
of the
on to
Wild,
Harrison.
so,
Yep.
well, we're gonna be kinda jumping ahead then because my number 4 is Stardew. So
Okay.
Stardew, I have almost 300 hours on Switch and overall about 700 hours. And it's probably more. Like, honestly, like, because
Mhm.
I have it on multiple systems, and I don't trust my Steam numbers. I just don't. I think some of them are like I think sometimes my Steam numbers are too low because it's like it's got to be more than that. I just it
Yep.
has to be. But it's one of those games where, I don't regret any second I've ever spent on that game. It did actually take me a little while to actually get into Stardew from, it came out in 2017. Uh, it was a little bit overwhelming at first, but what I should have realized is I'm still learning about things in the game now because I'm just starting to do on my Switch, I'm gonna do a perfection run. I'm gonna actually finish my save file and do a perfection run, not just start over.
Yep.
So there's just so much content. There's content in that game that you will
Yep.
not get to unless you spend over 100 hours just playing the game. So, like,
For sure.
if you were to like, I think about our spotlight games and, like, when we did Harvest Moon, and I played it for, like, 3 hours, and I'm like, "I don't really feel like I can review this game correctly," because if you only
Yeah.
spent 3 hours on Stardew Valley, I'd be like, "No, you're not qualified to even talk about this
Your
game."
field's not even clear yet.
No. No, so,
Yeah.
um, it is, I think, one of the most important games that has come out in modern gaming. It is my favorite passion project in gaming just from a sole developer, and I've talked to a couple Steam developers, that like smaller ones that I know about, and just to kinda get an idea of what Eric, Concerned Ape, has made from this game, and what he's probably made on Steam alone is upwards of 50,000,000. Just just throwing that out there, like, on this game, so I wonder sometimes why he's so passionate about just continuing one game and not, doing DLC or doing focusing all his time on Haunted Chocolatier, but, yeah, the money has definitely helped that.
Yeah, as you hinted at, this is the number 1 most played game on my Switch. I'm, like, somewhere around, like, 250 hours on just mine. Again, it's another game my wife also has, so I've put hours in on hers as well. It's, what else is there to say? It's just there's so much content in that game. Um, you I don't know if I'm gonna be returning to it anytime soon because there's so many similar games I wanna try. Like, I just got, shout out to Echoes of Plum Grove is a really interesting looking, farm sim, but, nothing compares, as Sinead O'Connor said. Nothing compares to Stardew Valley. It's just you'll find similar games, but not comparable games.
Yep. Yep, I've pretty much given up on farming sims. I've bought
Mhm.
so many of them, and then I play them, and then I'm like, "This is cool," but Stardew does
It's not
everything
Stardew.
Stardew does
Mhm.
everything this game does, but does it in a better way. But and it's not to say that there's not a game that will come along that will do it because, I have games on my wish list now that fit that genre. Everything's a farming
Ish
sim now.
we're on number 4, I think, for Sean?
So my number 4 is another
Yeah.
time sync one, but it's, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, which was
Mhm.
about 70 hours. Again, included the DLC. Again, if you wanna play it, worth playing it. I'll play the others at some point, and, why not? Because we keep bringing it up, reminds me of PS1 era Final Fantasy. Let's get that going
Okay.
for it, but yeah,
I've heard it compared to Final Fantasy 12 very heavily too, which I haven't played Xenoblade, but I've played 12, so
I haven't played I don't think I've played any 12, but it might be a
okay.
similar aesthetic, yeah.
This is the Final Fantasy podcast now.
That's all it is now. Yep. Number
So
3?
my number 3 is Tears of the Kingdom, the yin to Breath of the Wild's yang. Just like Harrison said, where at first he was kind of intimidated and overwhelmed by how much there is to do. That was what I felt for Tears of the Kingdom when I first started playing it. And it turns out I was right to feel that way because I wound up sinking more hours into that than Breath of the Wild so far, even though I'm not. I feel like, I mean, I did a whole episode comparing the two things, but I
Yeah.
feel like each one really is a yin and a yang. Everything that bothers me in one, they fixed in the other. But like, there's some stuff in Tears of the Kingdom that, like, it was better in Breath of the Wild. Like, there's no, they're just so like equally good and bad to me. I don't know how to say it better than that.
Interesting that it's a little bit above it for playtime.
Well, there's definitely more to do, but I'll add on top of that, there's also a lot more empty space. Like the underworld is mostly empty, but if you want to do everything in the game, you gotta turn all the lights on. I forget what they're called. but you
You
gotta
could have put
light
the
up that
power
whole
back on.
yeah, you gotta light up that whole underworld, and, like, there's a lot of it's just empty. Like, if people complained in Breath of the Wild of Hyrule Field being empty, they didn't know, what they were gonna get with this underworld. It is very, very empty, and yeah, there's spots with, like, enemies and bosses and lava and stuff, but, I don't know, it's pretty empty.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like a I don't know if it's a similar issue, but like with Scarlet and Violet, when I got to Area Zero, I felt like they were messing with me because Area
Mm.
Zero looked, in my opinion, so much nicer than the rest of the
So
game.
much potential. Yeah.
And
It
then
was a
like
cool area, but empty.
you're walking through Area Zero with all of your companions, and you're doing like I compared it to Fire Emblem, I guess, like when you're like running through the area, and I'm like, did they just mess with me for 20 hours and give me a bad game? Because this whole area looks great, but the rest of the game looks not so good. Uh, so yeah, I mean, Tears of the Kingdom, I think I put like 60 hours into it, and I barely like did anything in that game.
No, it's one of those games where just like Stardew Valley, to do everything in that game, I feel like is a minimum of like 150 hours.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah, I need to complete it this year because yeah, Breath of the Wild just gave so many like singular incredible experiences that stand out that I want to know how it compares because like there's just like shrine quests in Breath of the Wild that will stand out in my memory as just being like kind of like these art pieces like on its
Mhm.
own. Future bonus episodes. Number 3, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Over 300 hours. I put over 100 when it first came out, which actually isn't that
Mm,
much
mm, mm, mm,
uh
mm,
for an Animal Crossing game. And
mhm.
I felt really bad when I finally put it down because I just had a realization of like this might be it for Animal Crossing. Like it was fun, but it was a bit lifeless and it wasn't as good as the other game. But then the update came out and it pulled me back in for another couple hundred hours working on my island. Uh Still is in my like it's my third or fourth favorite Animal Crossing game. It has a lot of still has a lot of glaring issues in it, but a game that I put a lot of time into, of course. So, where was it for you, Kevin?
Yeah, it was number 2 on my list. I have also put
Perfect.
a lot of time into it. I don't time travel, and I have a reminder on my phone. Oh, the writing's gonna be backwards. Every week to remind myself that KK is in town and to go get my KK song. Um, so yeah, it's Animal Crossing, man. I'm currently redesigning my island, so that's gonna give me at least another like 20 hours right there of like I'm going for like an apocalyptic abandoned island theme. I got all these nice floor tiles that have like cracked pavement and like overgrown dirt paths and stuff like that. So that's gonna be really cool. But yeah, it's Animal Crossing, man. It's a Zen garden of a game. You just spend all your time and you feel better. It is Nintendo therapy. It really is.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a lot of optimism about the future game, which will be here sooner rather than later. I don't know if that's 1 year, 3 years,
Mhm.
and just hopefully they fix a lot of those things that were issues in this last game. And the DLC was pretty fun too. I spent, I would say about 20 hours in the DLC. I didn't finish it because I'm just not interior design is just not my thing. Like
Mhm.
building things is cool, but when it comes to
Yeah.
interiors, I have a limitation as far as how much I want to do.
I also skipped that DLC.
Uh, yeah, it was pretty fun.
Okay,
It's definitely fun, and you do get unlockables when you finish it. So, or along the way. So, it is worth $20 or the expansion pass that it's on.
I'm
Sean.
gonna estimate I probably did 4 hours in Animal Crossing New Horizons before I tapped out. Just not
Yeah,
me.
I know it's not your thing. What's your
Number
number 3?
3, another one time sync, but also proof demos work. Unicorn Overlord, 77 hours. It's basically like playing through a really good anime, so I recommend it. I don't really have much to say on it. I it would have been my game of the year last year, so if that means anything.
Uh,
And then,
yeah, certainly surprising game for a lot of people. Yeah.
and then, what did we just get? You and me left, Harrison?
Yeah,
Um.
my games have all been done.
Your games are all out?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So, well, then, and then my last
because my
two.
2 was Animal Crossing and my 1 was Stardew.
Okay. Well, then, um, my 2 and 1, I'm not going to spend too much time on. Sorry, listeners, but number 2 for me is um MLB The Show, because we're going to be honest about the playtime hours. MLB The Show um started coming out for Nintendo in 2022, and that was a very exciting partnership, something that I was waiting for a while. 22, I think, was the best sports game we've had in the last 10 years or so, since 2016, I would say. And only other thing I'll add is that it's just cool that we have accessibility for those games. The same reason why I would want, a Call of Duty or another game that I would not play on the system. I'm very happy to have my sports games on there. So, you know, we're not going to talk too much about sports games on this podcast, but it is important to point out that, like, Switch is cool because you can take it everywhere and it has all the games. So, Sean, what's yours?
So, so my number 2 is Dead Cells at 100 hours, but I've had that since 2018 at launch, so it was about a 6-year period to get to that point. But, yeah, I mean, the end credits rolled, I played all the DLC, and I didn't beat Dracula's second phase, but I got to it, so to hell with it. I thought that was good enough. So, probably will never go back to it, but definitely one of the better, roguelite Metroidvania. I guess that would be what that one would be considered. And, I know they have a new game out, and I can't remember what in the heck it is right now. I know it's co-op based.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dead Cells, good time. And honorable mention just because I've deleted and reinstalled it so many times, I have no idea what the hours are, but Skyrim on Switch. I always
Uh,
pop that in because you gotta have Skyrim, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I have Skyrim on Switch also, and it's like it's crazy the amount of hours of games that, like, yeah, I don't need to buy another game again if I didn't want to.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've never
But
finished
we will.
Skyrim. I just get lost in the side quests and then eventually stop playing.
yeah,
No one ever finishes Skyrim.
yeah. And then I'm just saying, kind of go quick. Number one, then, of course, is NBA 2K. I played 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And I'm sure I'll get this year when it's like 90% off and they're just trying to move units. Uh, well over 1,000 hours. If you add up all my time since 2001 playing 2K, it's so much. It was my favorite franchise forever. It turned into a self-loathing game. It's a franchise that I'm pretty much done with until if and when they ever fix their problems. But that's a much bigger issue with the sports games in general, with that monopoly. But to close that, I would just say that, hey, it's great that games are available on this portable hybrid console. What was your number
Mhm.
one?
We made it.
Did you do
We
number
made
one
it to the
already?
end.
Oh yeah, you were everyone's number 1 I think has been done
Oh,
because
oh, oh,
Yeah,
oh,
it
oh,
yeah.
was
wait, your number one was
yep.
Skyrim?
No,
No,
mine
my number
was
one was Vampire Survivors. You blew
Vampire
that out of the
Survivors.
water
Okay,
way at the
that's right.
beginning.
That's right.
yeah,
That's right. I got
and
confused.
mine was Stardew.
I got confused with
Roll
the
over,
order. So,
kids. There's nothing to
um,
see here. Move on.
So
or
that is how we spent our Switch hours,
yeah,
for the most part. Um, I like the ideas. I think Harrison, we should hold off on some of the stuff you put in here because they are good ideas for future
yep,
segments.
Yeah, yeah.
On our
yep,
favorite games, which is different than what we've spent the most time on, and also what our backlog looks like. So
yep.
yeah, a lot of Switch talk going into. We're wrapping up our thoughts on the Switch going into the Switch 2 era here. We can talk about our favorite games and we can talk about like what what baggage we'll be carrying with us into the next system. I like those ideas. So for now though, oh, quick question. Did any of you have any of the NSO channels in your top?
I
Because this
did,
yeah,
but I
okay.
didn't include them.
Yeah, I didn't either. The Super Nintendo would have been my number 5, I think, because I have played a lot of Super Nintendo. Anyway,
It didn't seem fair to put them because a lot of
yeah,
that time is doing games for the show.
yeah, and also there's like 30 games on them, you know, like it's not really comparable to a single game experience. If you do
Yeah,
2 RPGs, like anyway,
yeah.
Exactly.
uh on to our spotlight game for the week. So this week we played Wario Land 4 for the Game Boy Advance. It came out in Japan in August of 2001, came out in North America in November of 2001. I did not know this was a launch title for the Game Boy Advance, which was
Oh,
surprising to me because it's like one of the best looking Game Boy Advance games in my opinion.
yeah, that's crazy that it was a launch title.
So what was everybody's overall thoughts? I got a decent amount of notes this week compared
I
to
mean,
some
I
others.
I don't have a lot on it. I know GameCube was the last time Wario was gold obsessed. Bring that back. Like, I like that
Mhm.
that's what the focus of the game was.
Well, because
I enjoyed.
Wario World on GameCube is in the same series as this. So yeah.
Yeah. So bring that back. I think the farting, we can move on. Like, bring back the gold.
Yeah.
I really like the opening cutscene with him just driving around like a jerk in his car and almost hitting a cat. And I don't know
Mhm.
if it was just refreshing to see a cutscene in a platformer.
I like his
And
purple car too. Like bring that back.
yeah,
The motorcycle thing, I'm over it.
yeah,
Like
yeah, I'm over the motorcycle. And then as far as game mechanics, I like that the game makes you use the hazards in the level to advance through the level. That's such a
mhm.
clever idea, and I'm like, there's so much more you could do with that. Like, so again, bring back this
Yeah.
Wario.
And some of those character transformations are crazy. Like you'll get stung by a bee and like your face will swell up and you'll
Yeah, you
rise
can
up in the
float.
air.
Yeah, I like
You
all
get
that.
crushed and you're like a little crushed frying pan thing wonking around. I don't know. I The animation is insane for a Game Boy Advance game. It's got a lot of crazy facial animations and expressions as well. It's just really, really cool.
Uh,
I like
Harrison,
like one area too, like the temple, but you go into different sections. I don't know. There's just a
mhm,
lot of things in it I want them to bring back.
mhm,
yeah, you bring up a lot of great points that I'm thinking of. Something I wanted to add first is that I found it really interesting that this is the same engine as Metroid Fusion and Metroid Zero Mission. And I looked on YouTube, I looked on Reddit, uh, and that's the extent of where I looked. Apparently, there is footage of Samus going through the first level. Like there's like
hmm,
footage of like test
All
footage of it.
right, that's cool.
Urban myth though, I can't find it anywhere. But
interesting.
there are some screenshots I saw online of I guess it was Zero Mission where they point out that there's some of the same assets that are used in Wario Land 4 and I guess Fusion and Zero Mission. So they reused some of the same assets in each game. So I thought that was pretty cool. I think when I was playing through it and doing my notes on it, something that each of you have brought up already is my question just on and on was like, what happened? What happened? Like, it was the last Wario Land game until 2007, and um and and that was the final of the series. We got Master of the
Yep.
Skies, and then we got 10 WarioWare games and
Hmm.
and Wario World, excuse me, of course, and Wario World in 2003. But this game seems pretty good, and it seems like they were doing things that I don't know if we call it innovative, but were certainly like they were trying to think of different ways of doing things and different ways of approaching
Yep.
this character. And, Wario, I think is more was more popular in Japan because they had more just Wario games, like, they had a Wario Mario game. Um,
Yep.
so yeah, just what happened with Wario? What happened?
I don't know, it's interesting that there's a collection of mini games in this game too. It sort of foreshadows Wario's fate down the line with the WarioWare series. I think Nintendo just gets stuck in certain mindsets, and right now they're just stuck in the Wario is the WarioWare guy mindset. I think they overthink things sometimes, and I think that if I had to guess, their thought process is like, "Oh, we can't make a Wario Land game because that will confuse people who are fans of WarioWare." Like, they're too different. And it's like, no, you can actually do both. There's no reason you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, make a Wario and Waluigi game for crying out loud.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Yes,
How do
yes.
we not have that?
Yeah, yeah, bring back that who is that other so the in back in the day there was Mario and then there was that other Mario mascot, but he was just like a boy. Um, there's a
Oh, Bonk? No, not Bonk. Kid. You're talking about the Sega mascot, right?
I don't know. I don't know anymore. But yeah,
It's
I
like
do agree with you that they get stuck kind of in their
Alex Kidd. Alex Kidd, I
Alex
think is who
Alex
you're
Kidd.
talking
Kidd.
about.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, bring him
That
back.
sounds right.
Yeah, bring him back, right? Uh, I do agree that they get stuck in their ways, and I think they get. I wonder if they get like nervous in a way, the same way with like the eShop is now red, which keeps bothering me. The eShop should be orange, but now it's Mario red, and I wonder if it's like the same thing there. Where it's like, no, we're not going to confuse people. We're just going to make everything red now. Everything's Mario. Uh,
Especially in a day and age where they're going back and, like, kinda reviving stuff like this,
Yeah.
like, look at what they did with Mega Man 11. They really gave us a traditional Mega Man game with a updated art style and some updated mechanics. They could totally do Wario Land 5 and
Yeah.
just kinda update the art style and a little bit of the play mechanics in that way.
well,
No, definitely. I agree.
Well, I usually come on here and try to turn our spotlight games into roguelikes. My question for you, what if this game was an RPG? And I was inspired by this just
Ooh,
because you you have to collect so many things in this game to the point where it started to feel like I started to think like what if this was like a Warrior RPG or what if Warrior Land 5 was that also? I think there's
yeah.
a lot of potential that just never reached that point. I might be getting too far away from the game though. The sound is great. There's vocals, which always stand out to
Yep.
me. Like when I was a kid, that really stood out to me when there would be vocals in a game this early. Um,
That's actually why I prefer playing the Game Boy Advance version of Super Mario World 3. I mean Super Mario Brothers 3. Because it has the, like, Nintendo 64 sound clips of Mario, like, thrown in there.
Yeah, so sound is great, graphics are good. SNES Drunk called it inspiring, which I would agree. Like I think they really
Mhm.
tried some different things in this game that I wonder if I were to play it in the past, if I would enjoy it more, not knowing that there would be nothing to follow it. It's kind of a
Yeah.
weird question because I
Man,
enjoy
can't
it
wait for Wario
less.
Land 5.
I think I enjoy it
Yeah,
less knowing that, like, oh, it didn't lead to
this
anything.
is it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's a lot of also, like you mentioned, the reuse assets, and I think one of them is the layering that some of the levels have, that you'll see like a layer of fog over the player's layer. I don't know how to say it, but you know what I mean. In the foreground, you'll have some fog, and then you get the layer you're playing on, and you've got like a background layer. I think that's reused in Metroid, and then also the same thing but with rain in certain levels. I think that is also reused.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So where's it falling?
So I rank this one pretty high. It's in my almost in my top 20, which at this point we've done so many games is pretty high. Where did I put it? I put it at number 22, which is right up it is below Mario Golf. I still hold Mario Golf in a little bit higher esteem, but I like this one better than Jet Force Gemini. So we're at number 22 there.
Uh 53 for me. And I'd recommend this game. I really think I'd recommend it to anyone, I think.
Mhm.
Or anyone that wants to play through Game Boy Advance has a lot of there's a lot of games I haven't played for this console, I guess. I don't know what I was doing at that time or just playing different games. Um,
For
yeah.
sure, anyone who wants to play an SNES style platformer.
Right, right. Is there any nostalgia for you guys there?
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
for
Especially anytime I'm surprised I haven't bought the Advance Wars remake because I played a lot of Advance Wars on my GBA. I had GBA, I think so that came out, like, right at the end of our high school years, and it that took me into my first years of college when you're, like, awkward and have a lot of downtime.
Playing a lot of Wario Land in between classes.
I actually didn't
So
play Wario Land until later, but, I have nostalgia for other games of this era.
that's fair. That's fair. So I put it at 44. I enjoyed it. It's just a fun platformer. And since I can finally confidently rank it, I've played enough Earthbound now that that's
Hmm,
at number 11.
there you
So
go.
not quite as high as you guys, but I've been enjoying my time with it. But no, Wario Land, seriously, bring him back to this. Like, do it now.
Well, Wario, if you guys like this a lot, Wario Land 3, I have dipped my toes into now, and because I wanted to reference it for this, and it's very similar. This is an
Okay.
improved version, but you know, it's still very, very similar. It's almost like the Super Mario Brothers 3 versus Super Mario World comparison. Okay, so let's find out what we're playing next week. So next week we're gonna have a showdown. We're gonna have a Nintendo Therapy versus because I paired together the Sega Genesis Classic Columns with its main competition, Tetris. And there are 3 versions of Tetris, but I mean, how much is there to say about the 3 different versions of Tetris?
Is
So
it really a showdown?
yeah, technically 4 games, but also really 2 games that we'll be talking about next week. Uh
Okay.
And yeah, so join us next week for all our Tetris thoughts, our columns thoughts, our thoughts on whatever's going on in the Nintendo news that week. I'm sure there's going to be something going on. They redesigned Diddy Kong. We could have talked about that this week. It's not much of a redesign. Um, I'm just rambling here. Thank you. Thank you very much for listening. We are Nintendo fans, not Nintendo experts, so we probably got stuff wrong, but we're doing our darndest and we're here every week for you guys. So let us know if there's anything you want to hear us talk about on the show. Email us at nintendotherapypod@gmail.com. And you can find us in that. I'm always pointing in the wrong direction because it's flipped. You can find all our stuff by scanning that there QR code. That's all our contacts. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.